Good morning, dear students. So, I am here with the Indian Express newspaper, and today's date is 14th March 2026. Okay, so let's begin today's session. This is the front page of today's newspaper. Okay, so let's read all the important news inside it. Okay, so first news inside it is chartered plane leave Kochi with some Iran sailors' bodies other killed in US attack near Sri Lanka. We'll try our best, Iran envoy on safe passenger for India bound fuel ship. Okay, so as BRICS chair condemn attack on Iran, Tehran's message to New Delhi, along with Iran grouping also has the UAE, Saudi Arabia has as members. Okay, so two LPG tankers are reported to be transiting Strait of Hormuz. The main thing is that now every type of permission they have to take from Iran if they want to pass any tanker or any ship, okay, from Strait of Hormuz, and that's the only sea route. Okay, Dharma it's a Swatantriya Bill 2026. Maharashtra Bill on unlawful conversion, mother's first religion for child out of wedlock. Oil price rise, market sinks 5% in a week, logs worst 4-year weekly fall. Why FPIs are dumping Indian stock pushing rupee down. Delhi self-intensive revision preparation crawl CEO tells departments to let BLOs focus on task. Second page and you will get detailed explanation of first page. Okay, in this page. So please read it in detail about the city. Murder on Holi in Uttamnagar. Local news. About the city, Chief Secretary seeks rationalize use of LPG. It raised hit during Ramadan. Too few cylinder, too costly in the black market, say owner. Incorrect angles, uneven distribution. PWD to study CCTV network. Why residents are opposing 400-bed private hospital in GK1. About the politics. Moving from this page. About the nation, it's important. Two Indians killed, 10 as drone fall in Oman city. Government book LPG only if needed. Switch to piped gas if possible. Petroleum Ministry Joint Secretary Sujata Sharma at National Media Center in Delhi. Hostel canteens burst for LPG shortage at some of India's higher education hub. No need COVID-like exception. Pharma industry urge ministries amid fuel curves. Mainly about the LPG shortage. Mandatory menstrual leave could hurt women's career. Apex Court. Supreme Court asks government to resist yellow dal import policy. revisit, not resist. रिविजिट मतलब दोबारा से चेक करना, डाइवर्सिफाई क्रॉप, एंड रेसिस्ट मतलब रोक लगाना. 10 lakh leaflet with charge sheet against Assam government. Why four Congress workers face sedition like charges? Gujarat High Court allows men in custody to hold last right of pet dog for 14 years. More explanation page. Amid oil supply crunch, the big winner, says Russia. War in West Asia. OBC creamy layer. Why Supreme Court ruled against hostile. So Supreme Court says that the OBC, which is settled and long pending questions of equivalence between public sector undertakings, PSUs, and private sector employees. In government sector, this includes the creamy layer are not entitled to OBC reservation benefit. What the top court said. Uh, Creamy layer in OBC quota. Okay, the government of India and the top court says that they are not categorized to get reservation. Okay, that's the important section. Okay, so read it. Amid oil supply crunch, the big winner, Russia, that the rise in millions of barrel crude oil are languishing on high seas, high demand as the price shock, energy flows, and price spiral. To compute the true cost of Iran conflicts, look at the past. The Strait of Hormuz crisis spotlight a growing risk for Indian seafarers. Editorial section mainly about the LPG cylinder crunch hits home, sings stories of welfare and aspiration. We all know due to this LPG shortage, a lot of life are in danger, life are in problem. Okay, like hostel students, and for all the sectors where the use of LPG is necessary for cooking and they are unable to use. Okay, so that's too much necessary or that's too much risky. Okay, so use of LPG is too necessary for each and every Indians who are using it as cooking gas. Okay, so since their introduction of 1955, firstly the author Sanjay Srivastava, who is giving some history details, and after that today's overview. So from the introduction of 1955 to implementation of Indian domestic life, which has remained rooted as symbol of well-being and intergenerational class mobility. So one is a pressure cooker and other is the LPG cylinder. They are non-Indian origin, not with standing. They have iconic status as objects that represent morality and give rise to the bond of family. Okay, so in popular culture, the idea of modern Indian family is indispensably built around the idea of kitchen equipped with one or more pressure cooker and multiple LPG cylinder. The plumbed red cylinder with faded company logo is the object of both domestic aspiration and welfare. So it is not for nothing that old film wanting to show domestic poverty would do it through a scene of woman blowing at to smoke spewing chulha, tears streaming down her face. Okay, mainly use of LPGs and cooking gas as kitchen. Okay, and it's a red cylinder with faded company logos, and both domestic aspiration and welfare. Okay, all the women who are burning chulhas in their homes, and they have to face a lot of problem. Tears streaming down her face, उनकी आंखों से आंसू आ जाते हैं due to that smoke, and they are facing some burning issues using of the chulhas. That's why this LPG cylinder is too much necessary. So the political importance of the LPG cylinder, or rather the fuel that gave it meaning, was recognized in 2016 PM Ujjwala Yojana. Okay, so the importance of LPG cylinder is recognized from the scheme of 2016 PM Ujjwala Yojana. Inside it, clean cooking gas is provided to all the households, poor household, and the BJP's publicities on billboard that showed women to poses happiness. They receive cylinder from the PM and they can use in the Indian kitchens, and families entangled to global geopolitical of US Israel war with Iran. But this time these families are facing a lot of issues due to the US Israel and Iran war and subsequent blocking of the Strait of Hormuz, the way and the route where the oils and gases are transmitting. So the majority of LPG supplies and imports is around 90% is passed through through the route of Strait of Hormuz, while the global media outlet gave considerable airtime to energy experts who fret over the effect of petroleum price increase. US and Europe and growing consumer anger, there is far less coverage of the effect of the war on some of the world's most vulnerable population. So, what indicate while the burning of solid fuel would, for example, adds to overall pollution. So, due to less supply and less coverage of this war, most of the world's most vulnerable population get affected from this war. Okay, so multiple studies which says and indicates that the wood is example of fuel, but it overall pollute the air, health, and cause a lot of disease. Okay, so there are four intertwined aspects of this class, caste, gender, and rural urban divide. These four are the intertwined aspect. Okay, and the general level, at the most general level, biomass fuel, which affect the poor, mainly the poor one, and the density of population where the poor are forced to live, and constricted nature of their residential dwelling. Individual household with a high level of biomass use suffer day up and proportionately, whereas those who live in local but have a low instance of using fuels due to exposure of outdoor air pollution in their locality. So the government data shows that the clean fuel like LPG and crucial dependent on caste in both rural and urban areas. The example of percentage of upper caste homes that use LPG as the main cooking fuel can be 3 or 4 times higher than those who belong to ST/SC families. We all know, and the key factor which relate to the place of residence of each of the above group in rural areas, in particular, the socially marginalized are forced to live in localities that suffer from forbidding topography and poor transport transport infrastructure. LPG cylinders are unwieldy container requiring paddle power or monetized transport and not with standing government subsidies. The location factor adds another layer of discrimination when it comes to energy access among the poor, whether urban or rural. Women and young girls get the greatest burden of disease through using of pollutant fuels and biomass fuels. Okay, so the main responsibility of food preparation is given to the woman in India, and the power to make decision what kind of fuel is used is in the hand of men. Usually it is in the hand of men. Given gender norms, women's health does not usually figure as priority when it comes to deciding on the distribution of the household budget. That's a main and important line of the author. Okay, that in Indian family, women's health is never be a priority. Okay, but the household budget distribution. Okay, means in overall the author is trying to just giving the brief overview of that there is no health priority for the Indian women. Add to this the fact is that household joins their mother in the sharing kitchen, and mainly the daughters are joining their mother in the kitchen for some with the responsibility from such a young age, where the particulates and other form of pollution in extremely confined space. And in addition to reducing the burden of disease, women access the LPG. Okay, so they get better health. Okay, but the studies suggest that the time that is saved, no gathering of firewood and faster cooking period, release them from the enforced drudgery of household work, allowing for leisure activities. Not only are women able to devote more time to activities that improve health outcomes, but also utilize it for activities that generate income. So, this is termed secure, a measure of personal autonomy that is denied by unpaid household work. Control over time is a crucial measure of the capacity to control and fashion one's life changes. There is main evidence from that the red cylinder has been important contributor to the aspect of women's life. India is heavily reliant on import to meet domestic LPG requirement, and current shortage has had significant effect, and hotels have to curtail operating hours. More significant crises relate to welfare effects on poor. Popular culture portrayals of LPG as harbingers of personal and collective well-being. So sorry for the interruption. So this is the main about the LPG. Okay, amid the gloom and opportunity to rebuild. The main limitation of a social media ban, mainly the first state is Karnataka and the Andhra Pradesh government from the aged below the age of 16 and 13 years, they were totally ban of social media. Firstly, I thought it's only about the Karnataka, but this time it's Andhra Pradesh also. Iran's new supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured, says Hags said 45 sailor and the died martyr soldiers. Okay, and this is the last section that I'm going to read. Uh, FPIs have net sold Indian shares worth 5.73 billion so far this month, billion dollar. Why FPIs are dumping Indian stocks, pulling rupee down. US initiates forced labor trade prop against India 59 other. With question mark on flexible gas plant, government eyes alternative. War risk insurance cost soar 10x as West Asia conflict escalate. Dollar, oil, silver, everything rates are getting rise. Hence, in today's newspaper, a lot of sorrows and a lot of environmental pressures are shown. Okay, so thank you, and I'm going to upload today's session. So please go and watch watch and read also read this newspaper in very detailed way. So thank you for watching and please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, dear students.